So, whenever it comes up in conversation, people ask me, why do I like Xbox over PlayStation? Because I'm mostly a console guy. I mean, I play a lot of old PC games and stuff here. Um, but yeah, I mainly play on consoles, and I mainly play on the Xbox One or on the 360, and um, it's mostly a preference thing. I think I'm not big on like the whole console war thing. I think just picking something because it's your preferred brand or whatever. I don't know. It's kind of silly to me. Um, but yeah, I do prefer Xbox. I did have a PS4 at one point, and I just kind of got rid of it. And um, yeah, so I think one of the things that has to do with preference and how people end up on the sort of systems or ecosystems that they do, I think has a lot to do with their past experiences and sort of how they got into one or the other. And you can always switch, of course, but it's I think it is something that you get into one way or the other, and it depends on your experience. So for me, um, if I look back at my history, so way back in like, I think it was like 2010 or something. I got an Xbox 360. So before that, I was mainly playing like some PC games and stuff, and then I didn't play games for quite a while. I did play a little bit of. My friend had a PS2 and stuff, and we played that and everything. So in like 2010 or so, I got an Xbox 360 because there were quite a few games that I wanted to play on that. Like there were some exclusive games, and Xbox Live was quite a big thing. I wanted to try that out. The PS3 just wasn't quite as competitive, and I'm not that big into like the PlayStation exclusives. But I'll leave that topic for a different video. Any case, so I got my Xbox 360, and I loved it. It's probably still my favorite console. I mean, well, maybe the Xbox One because it has a lot of backwards compatibility. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So I got the Xbox 360 and played a lot of games on that. Got into Xbox Live, made a lot of friends online and everything. And yeah, I mean, I liked a lot of the exclusives. Like Forza and Fable and Halo and Gears of War. So I really liked those games. So yeah, it's Crackdown. Crackdown was quite a big one for me actually. So I played a lot on Xbox, and I liked the way that it worked and everything. And yeah, so then when they announced, when they announced the newer consoles, the replacement ones, next gen or whatever, the PS4 and the Xbox One. Yeah, I was really disappointed with like the Xbox Ones, like that E3 presentation that they had and the announcements that they made and everything, and it was really bad. But they changed a lot of that around. Anyway, so when those consoles launched, I think we did in South Africa here where I am, we did get the PS4. I think on international launch or very close to it, like just after it. But it was very expensive, and I wasn't that like super keen on it because I didn't really like the PlayStation 3. A friend of mine had a PlayStation 3, and yeah, I don't know. I didn't like it at all. There wasn't really a reason for me to buy it. I didn't like the interface. It obviously wasn't as powerful as the Xbox 360, which was a bit of more of a big deal back then in a way. And this live service, I think, was the biggest problem. Was that the online service, although it was free, it was really not very good. And Xbox just seemed to have a lot more games, and they were cheaper as well. And I don't know, I just like the Xbox ecosystem. So I didn't really like the PlayStation 3 that much. Anyway, so when they announced it, so I was like, okay, well, yeah, the Xbox looks pretty bad, but they're getting all that backlash. They're probably going to change it, and so I think for a lot of people in that time, especially if you're like in the US or the UK, where everything just always launches on launch day and it's available and it's all relative and it's all representative. But here in South Africa, we got the PlayStation 4 first. I wasn't really keen on it, to be honest. Then only quite a bit later, I can't remember if it was like 6 months or a year after the Xbox One launched internationally, did we actually end up getting it. So by the time we got the Xbox One available here in South Africa, like I think they already had the version without the Kinect. So I'm pretty sure the Xbox One was actually cheaper than the PlayStation 4, or the same price. I can't remember exactly, the old VCR one. So for us, it was not really a thing of like, well, okay, you have a choice between two next-gen systems, and the PlayStation 4 is like a lot cheaper or whatever. That wasn't really the case here in South Africa. So when the Xbox One eventually came out, and I saw like, okay, well, they reversed all of their DRM decisions and always online stuff. So that was, I had really bad internet back then, and at some point I didn't even have internet at all. So the online thing, like I bought an Xbox One because they're already starting to look at backwards compatibility and stuff. So I like the whole backwards compatibility idea, and I really wanted to play Halo 5, and I think Gears of War 4 was on the way as well. So I was really looking forward to those games, and there were talks of, I think there was a Fable game on its way at that point as well, and obviously the Forza games and everything. So, and a lot of the people that I met online with like the Xbox 360 days, they had Xbox Ones and stuff, and so it was just a natural choice, I think, for me to buy the Xbox One. And so eventually I did. I got one, and I gotta say, like, initially I was very disappointed. I was quite annoyed with the console. I didn't like the interface at all. I thought it was quite a step back from the Xbox 360. I also thought that the controller wasn't as nice as the Xbox 360. And there were a lot of like silly things which just kind of really annoyed me. Things like, you put the disc in and it has to install it or whatever, and it takes up a lot of space. And very soon after I got it, I also didn't have internet for a while, or I had like very bad internet, so I couldn't actually download any games or patches or anything like that. So if a game had like a 4 GB patch or something, like I wasn't gonna get it. So I was basically playing the Xbox One online, and that had its own set of problems. It depending on the game, that didn't work so well. So in the beginning, I was not really a big fan of the console at all, and I didn't really play it very much. I just kind of carried on playing on my Xbox 360. Eventually, when I did get some decent internet and everything, and I sort of bought a couple of games along the way that I meant to play, sort of like a little backlog for the Xbox One. So I got the internet and I kind of jumped into those games, and I was also very keen on just sort of getting back into Call of Duty a little bit. So I jumped back into Call of Duty. I think it was like Black Ops 3 was the game, and yeah, then I really started to enjoy it. I was starting to really get used to the controller, and at that point I really started to improve the sort of the interface of the console, the the menus and all that stuff. They really started to improve that, and it was starting to work a lot better. The online stuff was a lot better. I had internet to download stuff, and I got back into like the gold, so I collected all the free games, and they really started ramping up their backwards compatibility a lot. So there were a lot of titles available that you could play on backwards compatibility, and I just really started enjoying that more and more and more. So I really like the Xbox One the way that it is now, and the power difference wasn't a big deal. It usually ended up being like, you have a little bit of a resolution drop versus, the same kind of third-party game or whatever cross console game available on the PlayStation 4. So that wasn't really a big deal to me. A little bit of a resolution drop. I'm still fine playing games on like 720p or whatever. So then at one point I was very interested in playing, because people were going on and on and on about a lot of these exclusives, and like I said, I'll get into the exclusives in a different video, but I really wanted to play some of these exclusives, and I got myself a PS4 Slim model, and I played some of them, and like if you're used to Xbox and you start playing PlayStation, that's like your first experience. Like there were quite a few things that really annoyed me versus the Xbox, and it's a lot of small things, but it's stuff, Like I don't like the PlayStation 4, like the interface, the desktop or whatever. Like I hate that thing, man. It's so plain and not very logical to me. I don't know, I just don't like it. It's very plain text. It reminds me of, it still looks to me the same, that interface looks to me the same as it did like on a PSP from like 2005. It's like a 15-year-old interface, and I don't really like it very much at all. And the online service stuff, it was with these extra hoops and stuff, and it was kind of annoying. There was no backwards compatibility at all, so some of the games that I did want to play from the PlayStation 2 era wasn't available. I don't like the controller very much. It's a lot better than the PlayStation 3 one, but that, the two analog sticks being in the same horizontal, vertical placement, don't really like that. I hate the touchpad. It's all gimmicky crap that I don't like. I actually prefer the Xbox having that battery compartment, that you can either have rechargeable batteries that you can just quickly swap out, or just actual batteries. So I can play with it, and when it goes dead, I can just swap it out with another battery pack or actual batteries, and I can carry on playing wirelessly. Where with the PS4, it's built into the controller, so you have to put a cable in it, and that connection is quite janky because it's like micro USB or whatever it is, and it sucks, man. It sucks. You have to get like a long enough cable so that you can sit on your couch and have it plugged in. I hate that. And I only had one controller because it was super expensive. Anyway, the machine was also like, it made a lot of strange noises and stuff, especially with the disk drive, which was quite strange to me. It was actually quite loud. The angle of the front and the back of the console, I'm talking about the Slim model, remember? To plug in just the USB or to plug in like a network cable in the back is so awkward. It was really just like, why? Why do you... It was just quite annoying. The PlayStation Store on the PS4 is the most awful thing ever. And I'm sorry, like if in South Africa, I'm not sure about internationally, but the Microsoft Store, when they have specials and stuff, or even like their default pricing, is pretty much always better than the PlayStation one. Like stuff's a lot cheaper and a lot more frequently. There are sales and stuff on the on the Microsoft Store. So that's kind of disappointing again with the PS4. So and guys, remember, like, and the light bar. Oh, the light bar is so irritating. Like, if I play at night with the lights off, it just shines everywhere. Right? It's just annoying. But so I didn't really play many other exclusives, and it was just gathering dust for like more than a year in my closet, so I just sold it. Needed, the cash. So at the end of the day, I was just not very happy with that system, and I'm talking. This is all preference, guys. Technically, there's nothing really wrong with it. It's a good system. I just prefer the Xbox, and I always just, even though the PlayStation 4 was a bit more powerful, I always just ended up going back to my Xbox. And I'm not sure what's going to happen with the new consoles, but I do prefer the Xbox ecosystem. So, anyway, that's my story. And that's why I just prefer the Xbox.